Now, latter half of April, and what I really look forward to is this beast coming into flower. The most wonderful hybrid rhododendron I think ever invented. And there's a story behind it, which I shall tell you. Well, the story is this. Sir Edmund Loderi, Baronet, in the late 1870s, 80s, bought an estate outside Horsham in West Sussex called Leonard's Lee with a big garden. He was very keen to collect rare trees and shrubs and all the rhododendrons he could that were coming in from China. As it happens, I was looking at the membership of the first Rhododendron Society, which was founded in 1915, and of course they were all men except for one woman, Dame Alice Godman, her name was, Deputy Director of the Red Cross during the First World War. Anyway, they had a house called South Lodge, which was almost opposite Leonard's Lee. Her husband, an explorer, and her were very keen on rhododendrons. And in the greenhouse, they had a rhododendron called Griffithianum, which is fairly tender, but it happened to be an extremely good form of this aforementioned rhododendron. And the Godmans and Loders exchanged plant material quite regularly. And Sir Edmund had a lovely Rhododendron Fortunii in his garden, so he took the pollen from the splendid Rhododendron Griffithianum from the greenhouse at South Lodge and pollinated his Rhododendron Fortunii. The cross had been made before, but on this occasion it was absolutely splendid and produced this hybrid called Rhododendron Loderi after Sir Edmund. As an aside to my aside, Sir Edmund also collected wallabies. And they're a particular wallaby with a good thick coat so they could withstand the winters. And they were left to hop about the bushes. And I believe they still have the wallabies there at Leonard's Lee, even to this day. Anyway, there we are. That's by the by. Meanwhile, back at the rhododendron. Of course, the other amazing and distinctive thing with this rhododendron is its scent, which is fruity and fresh. And I use the word fresh because it really is sort of clear and fresh and distinct, unique, I would say, so that when you're passing, even if you can't see it, you smell this and you immediately know the rhododendron and shrub that's producing this fantastic scent. I must say, it is the most wonderful hybrid and takes an awful lot of beating, quite frankly, even if it's over 100 years old, as it was first crossed in 1901. Flowered for the first time in 1907. Wonderful beast. Well, we might as well go and have a look at a spring, well, not exactly spring symphony, but maybe a quartet. The final flowers of the highly scented Magnolia scented gem, underneath which is lurking Dicentra Valentine, which is a sort of lady in the bath with a deep red flower and reddish foliage. Very attractive. Looking through the Valentine Dicentra, we see in the distance Rhododendron blue diamond with a double flowered quince, Japanese variety. Coming around, you can see the two together, and I think they make a lovely combination. Here is a very old bog standard Sulangiana type magnolia called Lenii. Comes out late, so it evades the frosts. Goblet-shaped flowers. But my goodness, it spreads far and wide, so be warned. It is a spreader. Another late flowerer is this quite attractive magnolia from China called Red Lucky. The flowers open as a sort of tulip shape, but they fall wide and produce a very nice looking flower, but not much in the way of red, I wouldn't have thought. We have another look at Magnolia Elizabeth, but in front of it and mingling with it are the opening flowers of Staphylia colchica. I've had to cut it right back because it got so vigorous, but you can still see that they go well together. The Staphylia does have rather nice stripy trunk, so I don't like to chop it all back. I like to preserve that old trunk. Anyway, moving around from the Staphylia and the blue rhododendron, I just going to have another look at Magnolia Elizabeth, which is fairly yellow. It gets that colouring from the North American massive cucumber tree, Magnolia acuminata, where the flowers come out with the leaves. So this was the first one to be developed where the flowers just beat the leaves to it, and therefore you can see them well. They show up well against that tall holly now, as well as against the blue sky. Magnolia Elizabeth. Another Rhododendron Loderi is just coming out. I think that one's Venus. I can't swear to it. Can't have enough of them. They go up to 30 feet if you let them. Anyway, Gertie approves, I'm sure. Beside the rare Magnolia lotungensis, which is not going to flower again this year, unfortunately. It hasn't flowered yet after 12, 13 years since planting, and I think I'm going to have to wait for another few, if I'm spared, as they say around here. Anyway, next to it is this fabulous cherry, which I love. I'm a sucker for cherries which have double white flowers coming out of pink buds with fresh green new growth, and this is one of them. Shimizu Sakura. There's a Japanese Acer behind it. But here it is. It's just lovely. Coming across the old tennis court, I'm going to take you to a rarity in this garden of rarities, but this is truly a rarity, collected by myself in Sichuan in 2004. I don't know of any others in cultivation in Europe. It is certainly very common in the wild, but for some reason or other it is very difficult to propagate, and therefore you can't really find it anywhere. This is Litzia Populifolia. So let's go up and have a closer look at the flowers. Although I'm very proud of this thing, obviously, and it's formed an enormous tree-like shrub, really. The smell isn't all that brilliant, quite frankly. Still, there we are. That's a minor point. It's quite a decent thickness of flower, and as they expand during the summer, the leaves get really quite big and bold. It's what attracted me to the shrub in the wild that I saw all those years ago. Coming through the undergrowth, I noticed a treasure of mine. The pink form of wake robin, Trillium, and this I collected 7 years ago in the Blue Mountains of Virginia. It's only produced ever one flower. It did actually try its hand at a couple of leaves extra, but they seem to have disappeared, and it's put all its energy into producing this rather large and magnificent flower, so I say it myself. Well, just beyond the Trillium, you come across this magnificent chestnut. It's a small American chestnut, Aesculus neglecta, but it's a form that has these fabulous orangey pink new growths. This wonderful spring colouring lasts about a month before it all goes green. Well, here we come up with a tree rhododendron, Rhododendron arboreum, Sir Charles Lemon. It's quite a slow grower, and I inherited this from my father-in-law, a very keen rhododendron enthusiast, and it was already quite big. I had to bring it in a trailer all on its own. The thing with Sir Charles Lemon is the wonderful rusty backing to the leaves, the indumentum, and I think it sets off the white flowers beautifully and is of interest throughout the year when the flowers have gone. Coming up the path to go back home, I can't help but show you this amazing rhododendron Edgeworthii, scented, pink and white, deep in the bud, fading somewhat after it's been open for a while. This was a present given to me by the late John Jemmett, who had it from a very famous nurseryman and rhododendron specialist in Brittany, Monsieur Raymond Grau, who died last year. It's a fantastic compact form of this, which can be extremely straggly. And what a marvellous colour. I'll leave you with the lovely flowers of the South African gladiolus, Gladiolus tristis, night scented and delicate.